Hello guys, welcome back to the Try Time podcast. This is episode 32. I'm Callum.
And I'm Matt.
And yes, we are back virtually for a week. We'll be back in the studio next week and going forward. We obviously explained this last week with the whole fixtures being rearranged to have fans in on the Monday and that sort of thing. Although Bradford didn't even end up playing anyway, so...
Well, neither did Leeds, so don't even get me started on that either.
Yeah, so neither of us have actually experienced the fans in ground first hand, have we? So there's not much
but I will
really
have by the next
that.
podcast. So
yeah, that is true.
I'm of course back at Headingley on Sunday, and well, given that we've had such a messed up rugby schedule, let's jump straight into the results. And we're going to do things a bit different this time, because I'm actually going to start outside of the Super League. I know I'm leading this bit for once, and it's already gone to chaos. So, where do you want to start? League 1 or Championship? I'll let you pick.
I reckon we start League 1 and we'll work his way up to Super League.
Go on then. We'll start with Saturday's games. I think we're both shocked at this one. Hunslet beating Crusaders 26-18.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hunslet are one of the top teams, and Crusaders, if they want to make the playoffs, it'd be an outside kind of pick.
Yeah,
but
we
I
still
guess it's
both picked them.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's an interesting one, but I think League 1, from what I've seen so far, is anyone can beat anyone realistically. Outside of maybe West Wales, your Coventry's, maybe London.
Well,
Scholars.
Speaking of West Wales, they also played on Saturday, and as I correctly predicted, they lost to Coventry. Granted, my reason for predicting Coventry was purely a football manager save, but we move on from that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say I think West Wales, people thought, maybe they could, push for playoffs. I predicted them to just squeeze in, just purely out of just the Rangi Chase effect, but it just hadn't really happened. I mean, Chase is lighting it up, but it's just, yeah, the rest of the team just isn't quite helping. They're a newish team, they're building their way up. It's, it's to be expected, really.
There are a few other League 1 games, and on the Sunday, Workington pretty much thrashed Scholars 50 points to 16. Barrow not performing much worse against Keighley, they got a 40-18 win. And Doncaster edging out probably the closest tie of the round, 30 points to 22 against the Rochdale Hornets. I think we pretty much nailed most of them predictions apart from the Hunslet one.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we pretty much did. And it's Cumbrian dominance at the top. Workington and Barrow seem to be running away with it at the minute. But only two games gone, so there's a lot of rugby to be played.
I'll tell you one place where it isn't Cumbrian dominance, and that's the Championship.
Yeah, that is true.
What a segue that is. So, kicking things off this week, Batley putting an uninspiring 6 points to 40 loss to London. Is this the return of London? Are they back?
Is it the return of London, or is it the Batley drop-off that we kind of expected after a really good sort of playoff form that they'd started the season off with? I think it's one where London needed something like this. I think Batley, it was always going to happen. I think they always were going to get a bit of a reality check. Not to say they can't push on and actually get the playoffs, but I think this is sort of thing London needed. But it's going to be interesting next week for London, obviously playing Bradford, who in theory are probably better than Batley. It's going to be a tough see if they can carry on the momentum, is what I'm trying to say. It's going to be interesting to see if they are back or if it's just a flash in the pan.
Fair enough. Well, apparently Halifax and Sheffield never even played, so that's a great start. That throws Sunday's fixtures off to a good start. Speaking of other games that scored nil, Whitehaven got completely nilled by Toulouse. 66-0 this time, so they didn't actually perform that much better, did they, really? I
mean, you're looking at some of these results Toulouse are putting on teams, and I mean, we rant and rave about Fev and how good they've been to start the season, but they aren't even putting these scores on. Were it 70-0 against Widnes last week, now 66 against Whitehaven. I mean, I'm not, these Widnes and Whitehaven aren't exactly the cream of the crop when it comes to the Championship.
No, but they're not relegation fodder either.
Oh no, I mean, I watched Whitehaven the other weekend, Bradford, and they're a decent team. They're not the sort of team that you can blow out, but obviously Toulouse have proved it wrong. Well, but I just think Toulouse are just unreal, to be honest.
Toulouse a Super League team in disguise.
If you put Toulouse versus Wakefield tomorrow night, I honestly do think Toulouse.
I've got a bigger question for you. Toulouse versus Lee. That's the controversial one.
Well, yeah. Yeah, Toulouse have just recruited well. Yeah, I think Toulouse beat half at Super League, to be honest. I think they beat Salford, Wakey, and Lee, them three definitely. I think other teams probably a bit too strong. I mean, I don't know about Leeds after other night, but I'm sure we'll get to that.
We'll get on to that
League.
result. We will indeed. And yeah, Widnes, you didn't concede 70, but you did lose 35-14 at home to York, so a bit of a poor do there as well.
York are picking it up now.
Into the games with fans then, only two. You say Featherstone aren't putting results like that, they did win by an even bigger scoreline, so you picked the wrong week to say that, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm just saying what we have been saying, but yeah, go on.
68-0 they beat Oldham by, which is, in case you can't count, bigger than the 66 margin that Toulouse got.
By 2 points, yeah. I know. I mean, yeah, it's actually quite a bad time
2 points is 2 points in the league. We know that very well this week in Super League, as I'm sure we'll get onto very shortly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, good result for Fev again, but I mean, it's like we had a comment last week about how Fev are kind of winning a bit ugly. They're not playing as well as they could, but they're just kind of beating the worst teams. And I mean, Oldham aren't necessarily the best team, but you know, you've got to be impressed with a
5.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. I mean, I'd happily take a 68-0 win for it, and I'm sure you would for Leeds as well in any game. So, you know, you can't really complain.
Well, I don't know if we're against West Wales and Challenge Cup, I'd have maybe liked a bit more, but
yeah, true. Although you probably would have played you under 10s or something. Although that's who you're playing in Super League at minutes. So.
I'm going to say that is our Super League side at the moment. So.
Yeah, true.
And again, another one we got wrong. Swinton's still on nil points. They're putting a UK Eurovision performance in as they lost 18-20 to Dewsbury.
Yeah, again, Swinton, I just don't like. I said this has got to be Swinton's win. Really, they've been close in pretty much most of the games this season.
Well,
you know,
lost by.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, it's 2 points this week. It was 1 point last week. They're getting close.
They're getting worse. They're getting worse. It's going to be 3 points next week.
Yeah, potentially. But yeah, I think Swinton will pick up some wins. Don't get me wrong, but I think now they are going to be in that sort of lower battle. Although, you know, the fact that both Whitehaven and Oldham, who are probably going to be down there with them, have both suffered heavy losses, probably makes them, you know, they're not out of it yet, are they? Let's be honest.
You say that the only team that other teams played 6 games and got less points than Whitehaven and Oldham is Widnes, so maybe they are relegation fodder.
Oh, potentially, yeah. I'm going to say, I know I've seen a lot of Widnes fans saying they're not expecting to, you know, get the playoffs, but I'm sure they're not expecting to go down either. You know, maybe just a settler in mid-table is probably best for them. But I think with Widnes
might be a good result at this rate.
Yeah, I think with Widnes, I think that's one of the clubs in the Championship where fans is actually going to make a difference. You know, actually, they've got quite a big fan base compared with some other less sort of the lower down teams in the Championships. I think that'll probably prove.
Well, let's see if fans made the difference in Super League, and I'm going to start with today's games with that in mind, the ones that have had fans. I'd arguably say no, only one team actually won at home, and that was St Helens getting a predictable 28-0 win against Salford, which, you know, we all saw it earlier on in the season. Saints looked impressive. I don't know as much to say about this than routine win, is there?
Yeah, they're not even at 100% are the Saints, they're just getting job done and fair play. I mean, Salford, it's Saints, isn't it? You know what I mean? You're not expecting a win there. But to not score, I mean, it'll be disappointing, but it's Saints, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. Speaking of big wins, this was the one live on Sky. Is Ian Watson slowly becoming a not fraud again? Huddersfield beat Warrington 26-20 at the Halliwell Jones, which that's his biggest result so far. I mean, a 1 point win against a shaky Leeds side wasn't that convincing, but 20-0 up at half time, okay, they very nearly did the Huddersfield bottle that we've seen so many times, but they did hang on for the 2 points, which at the end of the day on the table, that's all that really matters.
Oh, definitely, and I think that was in Ian Watson's post-match. He said usually that Huddersfield of old would have lost that game, but they've actually.
I mean, I think the Huddersfield of new did a very good job at trying to lose it. Let's just be honest.
Yes. Yeah, I think for that 20-minute period from 40 to 60 minutes when Warrington essentially got it back near level, but then after that, I think Huddersfield managed the game well, pushed on, scored. I think they actually showed a bit of competence there. And I think you got to give it. Although, you know, the reason why they played so well was because I saw a Warrington fan held up a fraud watch sign with Ian Watson's head on it. That's what I saw.
Did they actually?
No, they didn't, mate. We haven't made it that big yet, mate. We haven't made it. I
was going to say, we got one loyal fan in Halliwell Jones. It's not me. I mean, I know I wear blue and amber from time, but it's not Primrose. Oh, honestly.
Yeah, not yet, but yeah, he's definitely. Huddersfield are definitely seeming to get better, and Watson's probably got something to do with that as well. To be fair, they're getting a bit more consistency in team lineups. Like Caesar's fit and stuff like that. Gaskell's playing well as well. Cogger, they're all.
Well, at the risk of you banging on about ex-Bradford players at Huddersfield, because God knows there's enough of them, I thought we'd have a free week given that you didn't actually play. Let's speak on to another team that have done themselves proud. Lee, they really gave another good account against Wigan. Level at half-time, ultimately scoreless second half to come out 16-30 losers. But I think they can hold their heads up high from that. They just really need to get some points soon.
They seem to just only be able to play well against Wigan, and it's not gonna you're not gonna win many games doing that. You need if they play like this against
That
Salford.
reminds me of someone else in the league this year, which we'll get on to.
Yeah, if they play against one of the lesser maybe a Salford, or when they do eventually play Wakefield, if they play like this, they've got a good chance of winning.
Leeds.
But yeah, on the day, if Leeds are having even against Wakefield, Leeds were shaky, which I'm sure we'll get onto. But
we will. Trust me, we will.
It's all about performing at the right time. Yeah, I know you get up for the big games against your Wigans, your sort of local derby. Fans about big game, but you still, if they'd have put together an 80-minute performance, they had a chance. But play like this against one of the lesser teams, and they'll win. Do you know what I mean? It's what they've got to do.
Well, 2 games left for today's fixtures. Both Hull clubs. Which Hull do you want to start with? I'll give you the choice.
I think we start with KR. That was a bit of an upset.
We'll start with KR's emphatic 22-26 win at the Jungle. Where's this come from? Hull KR are actually competent again. I mean, we called this at the start of the season, but still.
Yeah, I mean, KR, you're starting to see the recruitment's got much better over the last year or so. I mean,
this is still a shock though. I mean, Powell's got to be disappointed with this.
Yeah, definitely shocking. I mean, it backs up last week for Castleford in the cup when they nearly lost it to Salford, which would have been another shock. This, I mean, I think Hull are a better team than Salford, but it's still it's a shaky one, especially at the Jungle with fans in. You'd think that's a cast nailed on win, wouldn't you?
On a week where there's rumours about them losing Jake Truman.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's one of them where it was a good close game, and obviously KR are picking up. I mean, I don't see KR getting playoffs, but they're nowhere near relegation.
Oh, absolutely not.
They've got a really solid team.
On another disappointment, Hull FC, they played shockingly. Maybe it's the fans that are the problem and not the coaches at Hull FC, because they looked pretty poor, losing 27-10 at home to Catalan. Which again, Catalan are not a bad side by any means, but I don't think really we'd have put them in playoff form going into this game.
No, Catalans were on a bit of a dip, weren't they? They started off well, but on a dip. FC were buzzing off of that big win last week. Maybe they've got a bit of a cup hangover, that sort of thing. Who knows? But they'll be disappointed, especially the fans will be disappointed. You've waited over a year and then you get done over by the French. It's just typical, isn't it? You know what I mean?
You've just reworded a message you sent me earlier saying, imagine waiting a year to get back into watching your team and getting done over by Lee Gaskell. Is this like your line of the day today?
Well, yeah, because think about it. We predicted Cast to win at home, Hull FC to win at home, Warrington to win at home, and all upsets. Do you know what I mean? None of it actually happened.
Well, they might not have had fans, but there is one team that just managed to win at home, and that was the controversial Golden Point win at Headingley. The second victory for Leeds this season, both at Headingley and both against Wakefield. It does also mean, fingers crossed, Leeds will be the last team to ever win a professional rugby league match without fans in the stadium. Unless it's Salford, because they literally can't get anyone through the gates. But anyway,
I knew there were going to be a punchline.
Not allowed in the stadium.
What do you feel? You're the Leeds fan. How do you feel about this?
It was not a penalty. Is my first comment of the day. Hicks has got it wrong. I'm not saying we weren't in a position Gale couldn't have potentially got the 1-pointer, but that is not how the game should have ended. And, I saw a tweet earlier, I think we retweeted it on the Try Time Podcast Twitter, go follow if you don't already. We've actually got a live poll on for once, so, we do occasionally use it. That Ganson has told Trinity that it was the incorrect call. Well, that doesn't really help them, does it? That's not going to get them the 2 points back.
Yeah, true. It's one of them. I'm not, I'm not one to bash referees because it is probably just a genuine mistake. But it to me it was clear, and to a lot of people it was clear. So I don't think don't know if we want to get into really what the punishment or something like that should be. But
I don't think that's one for today, and I think this is one in a line of many dodgy calls by Robert Hicks that day. Actually, there was some very questionable plays that led to points scored throughout the night. So I don't necessarily say Leeds got lucky in terms of just that decision, because there were things that went against them in the 80 minutes, just like there were things that went against Wakefield.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think
Higgs was just generally shocking rather than any team particularly getting the rub of the green.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, mate. I know what you're saying.
Now, one thing that is definitely going round is, should Agar be sacked? Which you don't normally hear after the club's win, but does that feel like a win if you Leeds? That's the question.
If you sack Agar, who you getting in is the question.
Well, I think this is the bigger problem, because there's currently a shortage of quality coaches that are available, and I don't want Darryl Powell. Well, I can't have him anyway, but I don't want him. I probably would take Steve Price, because at least we're slightly closer to not winning things than what we look like doing at the moment. But where's the smart appointment there? I don't see who else you'd go for.
Yeah, unless you give it to someone like Sean Long full time, is that something you'd be, as a Leeds fan, would you be up for that?
I don't really want to make too much comments about what his impact is. All I'm going to say is we brought him in as an ex-half-back to coach, and we're the only team that's not scored from a kick in the league all season. Given that we have basically been playing Cameron Smith and Reece Martin as a legitimate half-back combination, probably Castleford's half-backs combined are about the size of one of those. They're just not halves. I don't really want to say that that's because Long is clueless, but rather because we haven't had a fit Gale and a fit Louis playing together all year. But it is a bit worrying, because Luke Gale doesn't look sharp with his kicking. And yeah, I know he was rushed back for the start of the season, which is probably going to account for most of that, but still.
Yeah, the news...
It's worrying.
Yeah, the news coming out today, obviously we're recording this on Monday night after all the games have happened, the news about Eastman retiring as well don't probably help you half.
It doesn't, but...
sort of discussions.
He didn't look very on the pace, and do you know what, I will say this, credit to Kyle for not just sitting around in the reserves and taking 2 years worth of money. It says a lot about the character of the bloke to take this decision, and not one that he'll have done lightly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm sad he's going, probably because he probably could still have a future in rugby league, just probably not straight in at Super League after 10 years out is maybe the mistake here. But
yeah, potentially, yeah. It's an interesting thing actually, players retiring or players, stepping down from certain things. This week we had, Elliot Keir left Salford to pursue being a fireman, and then he's going to be playing at Bradford part time. But I feel like we're seeing that more and more now. Players kind of protecting the future, as Super League isn't probably as secure as it once was. Do you know what I mean? Where it's it could all go down the shit any day. So players are thinking about that. Maybe that's what's going through
with the RFL in charge.
Maybe that's what's going through Eastman's mind as well. It might not be as public knowledge or anything like that, but you don't know what he's got in the pipeline or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? So
no, that's true. I think it is a known problem, because as we touched on earlier, there are plenty of rumours that Jake Truman is to be joining Leeds in a cash plus swap deal involving Reece Martin, which is a very interesting decision, and not one that I thought I'd be reading when I woke up this morning.
You'd take that though, wouldn't you, mate?
I would, but that's maybe more because we're losing Louis than I'd be glad to get rid of Martin.
Oh no, I think Martin's class me. I think he's one of the most underrated back rowers in league, to be honest. But I do also see,
I think
you
there's
know, like
a glaring
Truman's the
problem
future.
at half-back, and to reignite the Gale Truman partnership in blue and amber would be something.
Oh yeah, 100%, mate. I think you'd snap the hand off.
I
Of
mean,
that.
no offence to Rob Lewitt, he's a cracking player, but it makes him look a bit like the half-back version of Joe Vickery compared to Jay Truman.
Oh well, Truman's the future, isn't he? He's the future of Super League. He's the future of English rugby league at the six. Like how young he is and how many years he's actually had in Super League already under his belt is, you know, he's mature beyond his years. Really, like he's one of them that like every club's wanting him. That he's the big player up at the end of the season, isn't it?
The thing is, we're apparently making some other big moves because apparently Martin's replacement is going to be none other than St Helens James Bentley.
And you take that as well.
I don't know where this influx of cash is coming from, but I don't know. Maybe Mr. Caddick's finally sold some of his houses at Back Stand or something daft, but we seem to suddenly have money to burn.
Yeah, you take Bentley though, wouldn't you? Realistically,
do you know what? Them two for Martin and Louis is a pretty good end of deal, actually.
Yeah, well, yeah. I saw a lot of people putting about how Bentley would never leave Saints for Leeds, but it's like he's a Yorkshire lad. You know what I mean? He's a Yorkshire lad. Like he's
literally from this area.
Yeah, he's from your Leeds Bradford area, isn't he? Like, you know what I mean? Bradford
Absolutely.
Academy, but you know, like Leeds sort of brought up in
Bradford
Leeds,
Academy, Leeds, Wakefield, born. And let's face it, out of those clubs, Leeds are probably the only one that can come close to affording the wages.
Oh yeah, well he's one of the. Again, he's similar to Truman, maybe not to the same extent, but he's similar to Truman in that he's like the youth, the future of Super League, isn't he? You know what I mean?
Well, this is what I'm quite impressed at. Because Leeds are not only going youthful now, they actually seem to be finally waking up in recruitment, because this is one of my big bugbears the last few seasons. You look at this great Leeds team, and as much as it's all talks about, oh yeah, golden generation, Sinfield, Burrow, Maguire, JJB all together, you know, and the rest of them. Look at the players they did bring in. Keith Senior from Sheffield. Okay, Ken before that, but big signing. Jamie Peacock, a grand final winner at Bradford. We're not talking about buying cheap rubbish. Kylie Luluwai, quality NRL player. Ali Lawatiti had played NRL to a good standard. And now who are you bringing in? Comparatively unknowns such as Vuniyawa. Or even worse, Wellington Albert from the other year. You know, like, don't get me wrong, there's always a place for the solid players, like your Bodine Thompsons is a fine example. A solid workman-like rugby player. But they shouldn't be the ones that are getting starting berths like we've been seeing. Bodine is the Ian Kirk of the modern side. Will do a solid 7 out of 10 job and make 0 headlines in the process.
Yeah.
Can Alex Mellor be the new Carl Ablett? Potentially, if he stops giving away so many bloody penalties.
Yeah, I'm going to say I think Mellor's a decent back row, to be fair, but I get what you mean. The
I'm
discipline
not sold
side of
on
it.
Mellor yet, but I'm more than happy to be proved wrong on that one. But, you know, recruitment has been a problem at Leeds, and I think they finally are starting to address it, which, assuming they actually get these over the line. Saying that, we probably won't end up with that, and we'll probably bring back Tui Lolohea, shove Tom Briscoe in another random position that he can't play, and end up with, I don't even think who would end up with. It's probably some random arse Aussie that no one's ever heard of, and it turns out it's because he's about League One standard way that this club's going at the moment. But
yeah, but I mean, if all these rumours are true of these players you're in for, then you're like happy days, isn't it? You know, you take them. So
yeah, I mean, I think so. Going back to the original question, then, should Agar be sacked, or is the problem running deeper than the coach?
I mean, for me, I'd say there's not enough. So there's no one available now that makes going for a mid-season swap make any sense. Like, just keep him till end of season. You'll survive. You probably won't get playoffs. There's a lot of injuries to explain it. If someone big, either a big one from NRL, who's recently, wants to come over to Super League or whatever, or if someone pops up who wants to do job, someone crawls out woodwork that we're not thinking of, McDermott, someone like that. Maybe.
I've got no. Keep Agar. Don't want McDermott back.
But I'm just saying, I think that's more likely to what's happened. I don't think Agar's going because injuries are to play to it, to be honest. And I think there's a bright. If you're a Leeds fan, I mean, obviously I'm not, you are, but I'd be happy with the fact that the Leeds, the young players who are coming through and filling in are not looking out of place. They look like some of these guys who come in. They're now.
Is that part of the problem that a 19-year-old lad who's not played academy rugby for over a year can come in and do just as good a job as these senior players? Why? Because they're probably motivated to take that chance. Whereas your senior figures, which, I mean, if you read between the lines of Agar's comments, probably include the likes of Reece Martin, Conrad Hurrell, are not bothered. Why are all these players that have played as part of the cup winning side of last year suddenly not interested when they're both out of contract? What's going on? Why are they not able to be motivated? Is that the coach or is that something backstage?
Yeah,
or do they just want to leave?
We'll never know, will we, mate? Well, we won't know now, but I think that's something that might unwind at the end of the season. I think Leeds is going to be one of the teams at the end of the season where it's interesting to see how they go. Are they going to get rid of Hurrell and then, you say, what, we've got these...
Based on this year's form, I would do.
Yeah, we've got these good set of centres coming through. A shit ton of players who can play there, to be honest. They're all good, they're all young.
Tom Briscoe.
Let's breed them through. Oh no, but like if you got Newman, you got Broadbent, you got Sutcliffe, both Sutcliffes. You know what I mean? Like you've got options.
Would you put Broadbent back at centre or keep him at full back?
I think when everyone's
because
fit,
let's face it, Jack Walker might be fit, but he's probably going to be injured after 2 games for another 9 months. So you're going to need 2 full-backs because he can't complete a full season.
Right, hear me
out.
His
legs are thinner than a glass spider. Go on.
If I'm Agar and I've got Myler, so I've got my Louis, my Gale in halves. That's absolutely fine. Then I've got Myler at full-back, Broadbent at centre.
You said when this squad is fully fit, that's not going to be till next season without a Rob Louis.
Yeah, but then this hypothetical doesn't matter because Broadbent will stay at full-back because Myler will just jot into halves, won't he? But
okay, fair enough.
My thinking is, say if everyone's fit, say next season, you've got Louis or you've got insert anyone there who's going to play half-back. You've got rid of Hurrell, so I think you'd got Newman in one centre. I think you start Broadbent in the centre, Myler at full-back. So I think defensively, Broadbent is the full-back, meaning he does the kick returns because that is strong. He's a strong kick returner, and that's where he's strong. Whereas I think going forward.
Does that leave a hole in the line having a centre do the kick returns, which would normally be the full-back and the 2 wingers?
But what I'm saying is then Myler defends as a centre out wide, which is the sort of position he's defending as a half-back.
Yeah.
Right? And then going forward, you want Myler jumping in as an extra half-back, an extra pair of hands in the line, which Broadbent, as he has been, he's a centre, not a full-back. He probably hasn't developed to that point. Then you've got Broadbent in the centre offensively. I think that's the sort of dynamic that you'd want to get going at Leeds realistically, where you've got them both playing, whereas offensively, you've got Myler chiming in as a full-back, but defensively you got Broadbent there because he's got a good kick return, and I think he's Myler isn't a fullback, is he? Defensively, even like Myler's probably not the sort of player you want at the back when a high ball's going up because he's a halfback.
Because he's actually done some brilliant returns there, and
I'm not doubting that.
With only seeing him on Sky, you don't appreciate actually how good he was at fullback. To the same extent that I've seen him play there, because arguably I'd say he was just as defensively solid as Walker. Was that ability in broken play, which is probably Jack's greatest asset at this point, which I'm going to assume, for the purpose of this hypothetical, he's not lost an ounce of speed when he does come back. But it's going to be interesting. And yeah, again, commiserations to Wakefield. That was probably the closest they've come to getting a win. But I don't know, they just seem to not want to hold the rugby ball. Is Mason Leno a circus act, the amount of juggling he were doing from the ruck? What were this dance about with it and throw it out from back of your legs going on about?
Yeah, I think Wakefield are actually getting a bit unlucky at times, but again, they're not putting together 80-minute performances, so you know what I mean. Like you can, like they're not getting lucky.
I've handled things out of the oven that I've thrown about less than that rugby ball.
Oh dear. Oh god.
But yeah, other than that, Leno looks like Wakefield's best player.
Yeah, I'm going to say he does look alright.
If we did say anything good out of this team, is probably going to come through him. So I think that's probably a tick for the Try Time podcast predictions.
Yeah, definitely. So what's going on next weekend then, or the coming weekend, should we say?
That was a good segue. I'm glad you picked up on it. Right. So we are, interestingly, not back on Thursdays, which is good to see. Should we start with Super League this time? Do it back in normal order?
Yeah, let's get with Super League. Yeah.
Okay, Saturday. Salford hosting Wigan. Let's do the one-word predictions because I'm conscious we're already over half hour. Wigan.
Yeah, Wigan for me, mate.
Warrington hosting Cass. Both teams on a rebound.
Warrington.
Well, this is a case of which rebound's going to be less of a munter, isn't it? I'm going to say Warrington. Mostly because we won't throw a six-finger joke in. I'll be nice to them. Catalans hosting St Helens.
Saints.
I'm going to spice it up. I'll go Catalan just to be different.
Big prediction, that.
Big prediction. Lee Huddersfield.
Lee.
Oh, I want it to be different, but I'm also going Lee. I would hoping you'd say Huddersfield. Wakefield, Hull
Nah,
KR.
I'm backing the upset. Hull KR.
Kingston. Yep. And the most stupid time kickoff in all of rugby league history since Monday night. At 7:30 PM on a Sunday. Why? Leeds Hull FC. Hull.
I think Leeds at home, to be honest. I think
What?
I'm going to back Leeds.
Oh my god, even I'm not doing that this week. I'm not that foolish.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see, mate.
I hope you're alright, but this is one of them. I'd rather take the L on the prediction than watch us play like dross, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Featherstone White it, Oldham or whichever one of them it was.
Oh, a big score.
Yeah, speaking of big scores, Toulouse have got Swinton in France, so I don't think their quest for any points is going to get easier, because that's got to be Toulouse.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not actually in France, because I think they're playing it, they've changed, I think they've reversed it, so this is now Swinton's own fixture, because of the whole lockdown thing in France.
Difference, to be quite honest with you.
No, I'm going Toulouse, but I'm going Toulouse unbeaten all season, to be honest. I think they'll beat Fev when they play them twice. I think they'll beat all the other big teams. They've already beat York once. I think they'll do it.
Do you know, I think Featherstone's big fellas might just have something to say about that when we get there, but...
Yeah, well, it'll be good. That'll be a classic. You know what, right? I hope, because obviously the game got it got postponed earlier in the season, so there's one game at Fev's ground, right, against Toulouse. I hope that falls when an unlimited amount of fans can go in, because that's one that I think that I'd love to go to. Yeah, we need to go. Me and you definitely. Yeah. And we'll get in as an away fan anyway, because there's no Toulouse fans there, is there?
Well, yeah, that's true. Here's a good point. Any of you supporting clubs which are currently have got more space in your ground than season ticket holders and have tickets on general sale, let us know. We'll be more than happy to return to live rugby for a few more games.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So, carrying on with our predictions, Dewsbury hosting Batley.
The old derby. I'm going to go Batley. I think they want to bounce back after last week.
Okay, interesting. I think Dewsbury have got the momentum. Broncos Bulls in the capital. I
think, right, because I could have gone to this. If I wasn't working, I'd have gone to this. I could have gone to this because they released the tickets of London, because they're, like you've just said, can't fill the ground with the home fans to like what they're allowed with COVID. So they've put it on general sale for a load of Bulls fans, which I actually think is going to mean should tip it in Bulls' favour potentially with the fans there seeing and that sort of thing. I'm hoping anyway. I'm backing the Bulls. I wish I could have been there though, but I'm already
you still managed to Twitter on for 2 minutes about Bradford. Newcastle Panthers.
Yeah. Halifax.
I'm gonna back the Geordies. I'm going Newcastle. Widnes Whitehaven. Now this is a story of strugglers versus crap, isn't it?
Whitehaven.
With Whitehaven being the strugglers in that scenario, Widnes looking crap. Yeah.
Yeah, Whitehaven. I've looked good, to be fair.
Do you know, I've backed Widnes a few too many times and they've just shot me in the back every time. I'm going Whitehaven. York to beat Oldham at home. Not even going to say any more on that.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. York should
and
do the job
Sheffield to get trounced by Featherstone at home as well.
Is it at Chef?
Yeah.
Well, at Doncaster.
Well, Donna.
Yeah.
Because it's a double header with our League One fixture, which will kick things off it once you inevitably say Featherstone, because it's a formality.
No, Sheffield upset against the Flat Cappers. They'll be fuming in comments.
Alright.
They'll be fuming.
Is it a double Doncaster win then? Doncaster hosting West Wales?
Yeah, Doncaster winning.
Doncaster are going to
Double home win.
Crusaders Workington. Yep, agree with that. Coventry Scholars. I'm going to stay loyal to Coventry. This is my new rugby team, I think. If Leeds go to shit, I'm going to become a Coventry fan.
Yeah, up the Bears.
Can't call me a glory support if I start supporting Coventry, can you, really?
Yeah, we'll say Coventry. I'll go Coventry.
I am.
Yeah,
I'm going to Barrow. That's going to be a good game.
I'm going to go Barrow.
I'm going to back the Hawks here.
I'm backing Barrow. I think they're looking really good so far this season. Barrow, they want to go up. They're going to go. You know what I mean? They're not taking any shit.
I think they probably will go up, but Hunslet away is always going to be a tough game. Even if, well, I was about to say they're down in 7th, but they've just lost one game and won one, so I don't think that means a right lot yet.
Yeah, table don't mean much too. Yeah.
Keighley, Rochdale.
Keighley, I think they'll want to bounce back. They'll be upset with what happened last week.
I'm also going to say that. That's it for this week on Rugby League. So be sure to check us out on Twitter and everything else, keeping you up to date with all the latest news and everything else going on. If you haven't already, check out Callum's, basically him jerking off to Bradford's victory against Leeds for God knows how many minutes. There'll be a card to that in the top right corner, and now you can watch how much he laughs at my brilliant jokes. And anything else to plug, or will we see them on Saturday for some more fantastic content?
We'll see you on Saturday. Nothing else to plug, obviously. Audio, Apple Podcast, subscribe, that sort of thing. Also on YouTube, subscribe. At the minute, I think we're on 98 subscribers on YouTube.
Have you yet? Yeah, get us to 100 and we'll, I don't know, buy one of you a cake. I don't know.
Yeah, just get us to 100. Obviously, leave a comment, any feedback, any questions, or any topics you want to speak about on the pod as well. Because, we've got time, especially next week, we're back in the studio again. We want some topics to speak about and that sort of thing.
And thank you for devoting 40 minutes of your life to us chatting shit.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Yeah, see you later, guys. In a bit.